I'm here in southern Taiwan, where the military is conducting a major defense drill for the first time on the west side of the island, facing China.
I've come to listen to recordings of Indigenous songs from the 1960s that are now being used to revitalize communities across Taiwan.
We're about to watch two basketball teams representing Taiwan at the Asian Games and Universiade face off in a friendly match. Plus, of the already few babies born in Taiwan, a growing number are not surviving their first 5 years. Warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Leslie Liao. Taiwan is conducting 3 days of military drills near the southern city of Pingtung. Our reporter Jaime Okan was there to see how the country is practicing defending its coast.
One by one, Taiwanese soldiers aim and fire anti-armor missiles. They're practicing how to defend against enemy ships or landing craft headed for the country's shores. It's part of a 3-day annual coastal defense exercise in southern Taiwan, featuring jeeps mounted with different kinds of missiles. Targets simulated a small landing force, forcing the soldiers to practice shooting at different angles.
在今天的操演里面，很多部分是特别结合实战的一个状况来执行操演的工作。
Behind me is Jialutang Beach. Taiwan has labeled this area as a red beach, which means it's the most suitable and one of the most likely spots for a possible Chinese invasion. Military officials have identified a total of 14 red beaches on the main island, and Jialutang is one of the most likely landing spots in the south of Taiwan. China is just 150 kilometers across the Taiwan Strait. Beijing has threatened to invade Taiwan, so the government here has prioritized building up its coastal defenses. The missiles they are using today are called TOW missiles, precision-guided weapons from the US and some of the most advanced in the world.
它的价值其实主要除了它的这个越水射程最远可以达到3750公尺，它是属于半自动导引的部分。那当然，从半自动导引可以借由射手的修正来针对这个目标来实施立即的一个这个弹道改变。
Taiwan has purchased more than 1,500 of these missiles from the US. These drills are just the latest effort by Taiwan to get prepared for combat by using live ammunition, giving its troops a taste of what it feels like to really fire these weapons. It's the first time that Taiwan conducts a major coastal defense drill on the west side of the island, facing China. Now, officials here told me that it's because they want their soldiers to familiarize themselves with the landscape, and it's also a signal that they're taking the threat across the Taiwan Strait seriously. Scott Huang and Jaime Okan in Pingtung County for TaiwanPlus.
Torrential rains have battered much of China, forcing thousands of people from their homes. Flash floods and landslides have hit Chongqing in the country's southwest, as well as the provinces of Anhui and Hunan. Heavy rains are not uncommon in the summer, but recent years have seen more rainfall than usual. The wet weather also comes amid a record heat wave that's seen temperatures rise above 40 degrees in northern China. Scientists agree the extreme weather is due to the worsening climate crisis. In 2021, more than 300 people died after record rains fell in the central province of Henan. Widespread riots that have rocked France for days are now calming down. Violent protests broke out across the country last week after a black teenager was shot dead by police in a traffic stop. The family of the victim has called on rioters to stop the violence. French President Emmanuel Macron is set to meet with parliamentary leaders on Monday about the riots, and then with city and town mayors affected by the protests on Tuesday. Similar protests have been held in neighboring Switzerland and Belgium. Thousands of people in Australia have rallied to support recognizing Indigenous people in the Constitution. Australia will vote later this year on whether to create a new Indigenous voice to Parliament. It would advise the government on issues that affect the country's nearly 1 million Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Opponents of the proposal say it's divisive and lacks detail. Indigenous people make up just under 4% of the population. They were denied full voting rights until the 1960s. Several decades ago, scholars in Taiwan traveled across the country to record Indigenous songs in a bid to preserve their music. But many of the recordings were lost or forgotten. Now the collection is being brought to life again thanks to a gift from a German university. Luis Watt explains.
A recording from the 1960s. This Indigenous song is one of dozens that have come to life again after the recordings were sent back to Taiwan from Germany.
第一次听到的时候就，原来这个就是奶奶在讲她的声音这样子，对，所以就是非常的感动这样。
The songs, sung by both young and old, were recorded by Taiwanese scholars as a way to preserve local folk music. Over the years, many of the more than 1,000 recordings disappeared in Taiwan, but a copy of the complete collection was kept at a German university, where a professor had helped raise funds for the project. In early 2023, the Institute of East Asian Studies in Bonn donated the collection to Taiwan. Since then, indigenous tribes have been listening and learning from the songs, such as this one about cutting down trees.
我们的历史有时候可以从歌谣里面可以找寻那个文化。我举简单的例子，我们在拜访的时候，老人家都常常会这样一边吟唱，哎呀哦哎呀，有人访问我，他就会讲这些词，他就会把那个情境讲出来，我们就可以知道说那时候老人家是在想什么。
When the recordings were made in the 60s, indigenous languages and cultures were under threat. Taiwan's then leader Chiang Kai-shek wanted the tribes assimilated into the dominant Han Chinese culture, and he wanted everyone to speak Chinese. These days, the government is trying to preserve local indigenous languages. One reason is to show how Taiwan's history is distinct from that of China's, which claims sovereignty over the island nation. Now the government and indigenous tribes hope younger generations will continue to pass on these songs to preserve both their ancestors' voices as well as their cultures. Karma Xu and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
After a busy weekend on the campaign trail, all three of Taiwan's presidential candidates now face uncertainty in their electoral futures. John Van Trieste has more on where each now stands.
Kuomintang presidential candidate Hou You-yi took to the stage in Taipei Sunday to cheers. Surrounded by party figures, he talked Taiwan's energy dilemma. Hou wants to reverse the current Democratic Progressive Party government's plan to axe nuclear power by 2025.
在核二，我们也希望能够延役；核三能够延役；核一我们要考虑一样，我们能够经过专家评估以后。
But it's who wasn't on stage with Hou that drew media attention. The party's 2020 candidate, Han Kuo-yu, sent flowers instead of making an appearance. At an event the day before, Han had kept his distance from Hou, sitting apart and not explicitly backing Hou. This has sparked questions about unity within the party's ranks. Elsewhere in Taipei, DPP candidate Lai Ching-te held a rally of his own. His party has held the presidency for 2 terms now, and Lai appealed for a third, citing child care subsidies and other funding his party's introduced.
蔡英文总统当选了这7、8年来，民进党政府比较起来做较济嘛，做较好嘛，拜托大家去投票，用成绩来投票。
While Lai's ahead in the latest polls, he faces his own uncertainties. Hou You-yi has accused him of libel, and some party insiders worry their chances of winning the legislature aren't good after several candidates withdrew over allegations of sexual misconduct within the party. In the central city of Taichung, Taiwan People's Party candidate Ko Wen-je focused on the U.S. and China.
大概中美对抗的局势是已经形成了，而且大概未来的10几年应当都是这样。 我们也希望说，台湾是一个中美沟通的桥梁，而不应当是一个中美对抗的一个棋子。
The wild card in Ko's campaign is electronics mogul Terry Guo. Rumors have swirled for months about a political collaboration between the two. But a recently planned meeting did not go ahead, leaving questions about this campaign unanswered too. John Su and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
The number of university students in Taiwan is expected to drop below 900,000 next year, with less than 200,000 starting their first year. Statistics show that first-year student numbers have been falling since 2012. Just under 280,000 started college that year. This drop-off has become even more obvious since 2016. The number of freshmen is on course to shrink by around 3,400 students each year. If this trend continues, it could mean fewer than 150,000 people will enter university by 2038. This comes as fertility rates in Taiwan have dropped to among the lowest in the world. Fewer babies in Taiwan are making it through their first 5 years. It's not just a devastating loss for families, but also a big problem for the country. Joyce Tseng has more.
Welcoming a new life continues to be difficult in Taiwan. The country has one of the lowest birth rates in the world. Last year, Taiwan hit a record low in its number of births at just 138,000. But out of the few babies that are born, more and more are not surviving.
我们第0天的死亡是源于周产期的一个呼吸的一个疾病是占最多数。第二个就是所谓的我们的那个妊娠长短，那所谓的我们的早产儿这一件事情。
On average, 2.8 out of every 1,000 live births don't survive their first month, and 4.5 of them will die before they reach their first 5 years. Though these numbers are lower than the average upper-middle-income Asian country, Taiwan's infant mortality rates are 3 times higher than its neighbors Japan and South Korea. The health ministry says that some childcare misconceptions may be factors.
过去有许多的父母认为说趴睡可以让小孩子的头型比较好，这个没有太大的意义。但是如果造成那个新生儿猝死，那这个才真的是非常不值得。
Doctors are also concerned about seeing more hereditary conditions and genetic disorders, which can result in newborn deaths. To curb this, they've emphasized the importance of prenatal screenings to catch signs and respond as early as possible. James Lin and Joyce Zhen for TaiwanPlus.
Do high infant mortality rates signal a wider problem with healthcare in Taiwan? To find out, Joyce Zeng spoke with Dr. Frank Lei Lu, a physician at National Taiwan University Children's Hospital.
What are the causes of infant mortality in Taiwan that you're most worried about?
A couple of things that goes together, because we noted that the mother's age of giving birth to a child actually has become older and older. So we have more mothers over 45 and even 50 years old. Older mothers will give birth to more premature babies. The smaller the baby or premature the baby, their respiratory functions actually is relatively immature. Just after birth, usually we'll want to listen that if there's a good breathe and cry. If they have any problems during this transition, actually they will cause to have hypoxia or asphyxia conditions.
Are these preventable? What are some steps that can be taken during pregnancy?
The first thing is to have less premature babies, and if the higher risk of the pregnancy is happening, parents can think about when they're having a baby, actually to give birth in the more facilitated clinics and hospitals, just in case something happens. Actually, they can have a quicker response and faster evaluation, because Taiwan's areas across an island, which has different parts. This also has an equal way of that getting the medical resources.
So you've started hinting at this gap in resources around the country, and given Taiwan's severely low birth rates, are we seeing a larger problem within the healthcare system through these infant mortality rates?
Yeah, because of the birth rate is going down, so actually the babies that need to be cared in different areas is also going down. Under a certain level, actually you need to support for the pediatricians, the pediatric nurses. It will be relatively hard to be paid by like national health insurance because the numbers are going down. When the low birth rate comes out, actually even 1 or 2 deaths will be more magnified. We have also a higher mother mortality rate actually going up. We need to take the whole government and also our medical community and everybody to look at the different aspects.
That was TaiwanPlus reporter Joyce Zeng speaking with Dr. Frank Lei Lu, a physician at National Taiwan University Children's Hospital. Coming up, one of British artist Banksy's most famous works makes its Taipei debut. Stay tuned.
For more colorful stories from here at the center of Taiwan and from around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Taiwan is outlawing the flipping of homes to make a profit. The aim is to reduce the number of empty homes and make housing more affordable. Bing Wang has more.
Workers scramble to meet demand for high-rise buildings. The number of construction projects is at an all-time high in Taiwan. It's seen a rise of 20% from this time last year, and the cities with the most sales of new homes were in northern Taiwan, including Dayuan and Qingpu.
大园客货园区，然后另外一个就是青浦特区。那因为最近一些就是低总价的产品比较好销售，所以也会看到有蛮多新价的出现。
These projects have been snatched up by individuals looking to make money off their new properties. It's common practice in Taiwan for interested buyers to buy properties, then flip them for a profit. According to government statistics, 12% of owned properties, or almost 900,000 units, were empty. Rather than occupied properties, the owners are waiting for the price to increase. The government has rolled out new laws that prohibit this kind of practice as a way to reduce the number of empty homes.
预售屋未来都不能再转售了。那萎缩的主要原因是因为司法人，因为他购买住宅要采许可制，他买老屋的话，手续变得非常的繁复。
People who break the rule will be subject to a fine of $16,000 to $3 million US. The penalties will also apply to realtors who help people resell or transfer purchase agreements. This, analysts say, will hopefully alleviate Taiwan's long-standing housing market issues and allow younger and low-income individuals to buy their first home. Patrick Chen and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
And now for some sports. Taiwan won big at the Taipei Asian Judo Open 2023 over the weekend, finishing second on the medals tally. The Taiwanese team bagged 3 gold, 5 silver, and 7 bronze medals for a total of 15. More than 170 judokas from 17 countries competed. South Korea came out on top, winning 25 medals, with Japan in 3rd place with 6. 2 Taiwanese basketball teams are gearing up for some of Asia's biggest sporting events. I was in Changhua City over the weekend to catch them playing against each other before they go on to represent their country on the international stage.
It's basketball time. 2 teams, one playing for Taiwan at the Universiade in July and the other playing in September's Asian Games, will face off today in a friendly match before they go and take on the rest of the world. Who will win? Well, it doesn't really matter because this game is simply a love letter to Taiwan's basketball fans.
This summer is going to be jam-packed with big sports events. The Universiade is an international multi-sport competition for university athletes, which is coming up later this month. Think of it as the Olympics for college students. Then there's the Asian Games, the world's biggest multi-sport event after the Olympics. That will take place in September. Taiwan is competing in both and has qualified for each of the game's basketball events. And to get fans psyched ahead of time, the teams representing Taiwan in each event played against each other. Basketball lovers showed up to support their favorite Taiwanese players like
刘真、李奇伟、吴永胜跟林俊琪。
You might not have heard these names before, but they mean a lot to basketball fans in Taiwan. In a country that's easily swept away by larger, more prolific leagues like the NBA in the US, people here showed that there's still a lot of admiration for Taiwan's homegrown basketball scene.
有支持的球员有参加经典赛，所以想说来看看。
Back to the game. Most fans had a clear favorite to win.
蓝队。
那个留着那队会赢，因为他们感觉经验比较充足。
我觉得那个蓝队，那个中华队那队，因为他们那边的经验吧，跟他的资历都比较强。
And they did, but only by 2 points. The Universiade team put up a strong performance and won their opponent's respect.
我觉得今天这是一场非常棒的比赛，那他们也打出一个很好的表现。
Taiwan's Asian Games team may have come out on top, but only by a little bit. The real winner here today is basketball, because come July and September, all the fans who showed up today will be cheering for both teams to win in their competitions.
Cases of dengue fever in southern Taiwan have spiked to their highest level in 5 years. 28 new cases have been reported in Tainan, bringing the total to 158 this year. Many areas in the city are at high risk of the virus, which is spread by mosquitoes. Local authorities are working to contain the outbreak. This includes asking Tainan's residents to get rid of stagnant water and unused containers, which can be mosquito breeding sites. Taiwan saw a sharp spike in heat injuries last month. By late June, over 500 people sought treatment for heat-related conditions, almost double the number last year. Heat-induced illnesses include heat stroke, exhaustion, and rashes. More cases may be coming as temperatures of 38 degrees are forecast to hit parts of Taiwan by the end of this week. Of Taiwan's 166 islands, one in particular has become a popular destination for summer holiday vacationers. But the surge in tourism there has meant the small island is getting crowded, and that started to affect the local wildlife. Harel Hughes has this report.
Glistening sandy beaches, turquoise-colored waters, and a diverse marine ecosystem. This is Shieliocho, also known as Lambai Island, a small coral isle about 13 kilometers from Taiwan's southwestern coast. It's famous as a local paradise, one that's about a 20-minute ferry ride away from the country's main island. That's why it's become a popular destination for holidaymakers looking for a tropical break. Very popular. And now that the summer holidays have begun, it's starting to get crowded. An estimated 10,000 people flocked to Shieliocho on the first weekend of July. The number was even higher during the 4-day Dragon Boat Festival last month, when over 36,000 visitors arrived at its shores. Lines to board the ferry were long, and the competition to book hotel rooms was stiff. The influx of tourists doesn't just mean things are getting cramped for the island's human visitors. Peak tourist season here coincides with the time sea turtles normally come ashore to lay their eggs. But the surge of people crowding the beaches is taking up valuable space, which is affecting the movements of the turtles. It's easy to see why Shieliocho has become a go-to place for holidaymakers looking for an island paradise. But its small size and fragile ecosystem is struggling to cope with the sheer number of tourists. And if it goes unchecked, this could easily upset the island's ecology and biodiversity. Andy Shui and Harel Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
It shocked the art world when it shredded itself at a London auction. Now the artist Banksy's most valuable painting has begun its world tour in Taipei. Yu Jing Huang reports.
These people at Taipei's Museum of Contemporary Art booked more than a week in advance to see a single work of art by the street artist Banksy. It's called Love is in the Bin. It's on a world tour, and Taiwan is the first stop. The exhibition opened to the public on Saturday. It's free, but visitors need to pre-register online. The slots on the first day are all full.
想说只是一个单纯就是一个艺术品，然后想要知道说，就是为什么它这么有名气。原本是抱着这个想法来的，这样，但实际见到之后就觉得，它整个在制作过程中，它其实是有一个蛮特殊的 赋予它的艺术的意义。这样，
因为 Banksy 他其实长期都蛮关注一些政治、一些社会议题。那我觉得台湾算是在政治议题上面都是一直有蛮多的想法的，所以或许未来也可以考虑跟 Banksy 可能做个合作。
Banksy is best known for his graffiti, but Love is in the Bin was originally a painting called Girl with Balloon. It made global headlines in 2018 when it was destroyed at an auction in London by a shredding device hidden in the frame. Ironically, that made the British artist's piece much more valuable. Love is in the Bin resold for $25 million, nearly 20 times the original price. In Taipei, the piece is on display in 360 degrees, so visitors can see Banksy's signature and where the shading device was placed.
我觉得大家在看到这件作品，同时会去欣赏Banksy 其他的作品，也更能够理解他对于这个社会关怀的以及这个所有的他维权上面的一个努力，这个是台湾一直在努力的方向。
The exhibition here will run from July 1st to August 13th. For anyone who misses out on the 3 rounds of registration, the organizers have a plan. On August 4th, a blood donation station will be set right in front of the museum. Give blood, and you'll get access to Banksy's work in exchange. Howard Zhang and Yujin Huang for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. I'm Leslie Liao. Take care and see you next time.